If you're a Manchester United fan watching this, what really is your mindset about Ruben Amorim? Are you thinking he is a good manager? What are you thinking? Do you want him to get sacked? Because as a neutral, okay, I don't support Manchester United. I don't support Manchester City. I think if I had to support any of the two, it would probably be Manchester United. As a neutral watching the game, what I can say is this manager is very inexperienced. This manager is very stubborn in the sense that he has opportunities to make changes. I'm not talking about the system. Forget the system conversation because the 3-4-3 works. It's not something that is. I'm not going to talk about the system here. The 3-4-3 works. It's not a matter of the system or the formation not working. The 3-4-3 it works. The stubbornness I'm talking about is playing players like Luke Shaw, playing players like Bruno Fernandes in the midfield pivot. It doesn't work. We saw that against Fulham. I think the Fulham goal Smith Rowe, very similar to the goal Phil Foden scores, and you see that happening as a football fan. We don't even have license to coach games. And this is a manager that is supposed to have the license and the know-how and the tactical mind to coach games, to see things that the fans are not going to see. So you ask yourself, did he not see the goal against Fulham? Has he not seen several occasions where Bruno Fernandes has missed his runner, making a run into the box? And why doesn't he change it? Can he not bench Bruno? Can he not play Bruno in a 10? All these questions are what you have to be asking yourself as a Manchester United fan, because you look at the situation your club is in. Again, I do not think it is the system. I think it is the personnel playing the system that causes all of these issues. Luke Shaw in 2025 should be a crime. You should be put in jail for playing Luke Shaw in big 2025. Going to 2026 in a few months. You should be put in jail for doing that. Luke Shaw should not be playing this game. Subbing off Lenny Yoro to bring on Harry Maguire and leaving Luke Shaw on the field should be investigated. Honestly speaking, that should be investigated because that was atrocious. So playing Luke Shaw, who has cost, a number of goals in Manchester United's history for not playing well. The ball where Haaland was running through, I think that was for the third or the second goal. Haaland running through muscles with Luke Shaw. Obviously, he's not going to get that. He's not going to get that ball. Luke Shaw is not going to outmuscle Haaland. So to sub Lenny Yoro off and bring on a Harry Maguire and keep Luke Shaw on the field is weird. It is a weird thing to do. I'm watching the goal now again. Look at this. Luke Shaw and Erling Haaland in 2025. If I told you that Luke Shaw was making a run into the box, if Erling Haaland was making a run into the box and Luke Shaw was the one chasing him, you'd laugh your head off. You would absolutely laugh your head off. So I don't think it is the system that's the problem. It's the personnel playing the system. Now, you could say he hasn't been given the players to play his system. That is the personnel to play his system. Let's talk about the center back. Harry Maguire played a lot of games for Manchester United last season. Played a lot of games. I believe Harry Maguire is a better center back than Luke Shaw. I don't even think Luke Shaw is a center back. Luke Shaw is a left back who can do a good job at center back. Why are you trying to fit square pegs into round holes when you have players that can play that position? Harry Maguire can play that position. Aiden Heaven can play that position. Maybe not Aiden Heaven because he's more of a younger player. But look at players like Mascara. Mascara is playing for Arsenal. He's starting games for Arsenal. He's playing in Anfield at Arsenal, and he's doing well. I'm not trying to say Aiden Heaven is on the level of a Mascara, but what I'm trying to say is when you have the personnel to play certain positions, you play them there. You play them there because playing Bruno Fernandes in the midfield pivot is never going to work. I don't care I honestly don't even care what anyone is going to say. Bruno Fernandes in a double pivot is never going to work. Look at the midfields in the Premier League. We have Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali at Newcastle. We have Rodri and Tijani Reinders at Manchester City, or Rodri and Nico Gonzalez at Manchester City. There's so many combinations we can do with Rodri, at Manchester City. Chelsea, I'm not even going to get into Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Liverpool, Gravenberch, McAllister. These are midfield pivots that can actually impact a game. And to have a midfield pivot of Bruno Fernandes when players like Kobe Mainoo are on the bench, you kind of understand if you're Kobe Mainoo. Kobe Mainoo has come into this game and he looks like United's best player next to Brian Mbeumo. Next to Brian Mbeumo, Kobe Mainoo is the best player on the field for Manchester United at the moment. Why was he on the bench? Why was he on the bench? So you kind of understand from Kobe Mainoo's perspective why you want to leave. Because a player who isn't even an 8 or a 6 is playing in your position and is not playing well and is still on the field. He is still on the field. So you have to ask yourself, these questions as a player of Kobe Mainoo's quality. Am I, part of this manager's plans? Does he want to involve me in his plans? And you kind of understand why he wants to leave. You think of that and you kind of understand why he wants to leave. It doesn't make any sort of sense. I haven't even gotten to the point that I have a plethora of points on here that I'm trying to get to. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm gonna have to get into the points. But I think Ruben Amorim's stubbornness, his stubbornness is going to absolutely cost him. And I think if you are a Manchester United fan, I have been in the Manchester United space, fan base. I have been in that space, analyzing what the fans say about, things going on in the club. And one thing that is very clear is that they think they should have given several managers, enough time. They think they should have kept some managers rather than sacked some managers because, the players weren't good enough and all of that. I think in this situation with Ruben Amorim, for the first time in a very long time, I actually do think it is the manager's fault. I actually do think that Ruben Amorim is not fit to be a manager in the Premier League. Maybe he needs to go to other leagues, or maybe he needs to manage in a lower league, first and get that experience before he manages in the Premier League. But I think at the moment, his stubbornness, his inability to change. Now, his system, again, keep in mind, anytime I talk about Ruben Amorim's stubbornness, I'm not talking about his system or his formation. I'm talking about the personnel on the field, the players on the field, the analysis of players on the field. You have players in your possession. You need to know what position and what, the ability of your players are and where they can play. That's what you're supposed to do as a manager. So his stubbornness to play players in the right position and do the right thing in terms of picking players is what I think is going to cost him, is what I think makes him very inexperienced in managing in the Premier League. That's what I really, really honestly think. And I think for the first time, you can actually say that about a Manchester United manager, that he's actually not fit enough to play in the Premier League. That's all I have to say about Ruben Amorim. Let's get into the point of the match, and let's talk about some things that actually went on in the match. We're like, 10 minutes in? I think this might have to be a 20 minutes video, but let's see. So Donnarumma, that's why they brought him in. That is why Manchester City went for Gianluigi Donnarumma. That is exactly why. That save he made, exactly why they went in for Donnarumma. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's what I love to see. As a Real Madrid fan, looking at Thibaut Courtois, I always appreciate good goalkeeping performances. And from the first minute, you could see Donnarumma. He is confident in terms of shot stopping. He is very confident in terms of shot stopping. He's coming out for crosses. He's coming out for, balls that he's supposed to come out for. He's making saves. Beautiful. And I think he's going to be a really, really big player in Manchester City's progress this season. Again, I don't know what Manchester City are going to do this season. I think they are still a little bit lethargic. They have made some mistakes. There is a lack of cuteness that Manchester City always have. And, it's kind of a little bit weird because we always attribute Pep's football to cuteness, slight little passes and all of that. And you could really see that lack of cuteness in Manchester City's game. So I don't really know where Manchester City are going to go this season in terms of progression, but I think wherever it is they're going to go, whatever titles or whatever trophies they're going to win, Gianluigi Donnarumma is going to be a big part of that. Really, really do think so. I think even now, I'm kind of a little bit, concerned about my Madrid's match against Manchester City, but we're here to talk about Manchester City versus Manchester United. Tijani Reinders, I think the hype on Tijani Reinders was a little bit weird. I don't know why he was so hyped. The match just ended. I think 3-0 to Manchester City, well deserved. But I think the hype on Tijani Reinders was just very, very weird. Very, very weird. He's not that good. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think he is that good. I think he's an average midfielder, maybe with potential. Maybe the potential might be hyped, But I think in terms of quality, he's not really up there because you can see he's making a couple of mistakes, a couple of misplaced passes, and it's kind of like, what is all the what was all the hype about in the first game against Wolverhampton Wanderers? I mean, Wolverhampton Wanderers have been absolutely ass this season, excuse my French, but the amount of hype on Tijani Reinders in that game, made it look like he was the next coming of Kevin De Bruyne. And that really wasn't the case, I think, in this match against Manchester City. And this isn't the first time I've talked about it. I think against Spurs as well. I did mention that Reinders was not really the best in terms of midfield quality and all of that. The passing in the final third for Manchester United, there's so much went wrong in this game. So much went wrong for Manchester United in this game. And if you're a Manchester United fan, you really have to look at this. I don't know what the manager is going to have to look at this and improve, because it looks like he doesn't want to improve. It doesn't look like he wants to improve because he picks the same place. He makes the same mistakes. He sticks to the same stubbornness. So honestly, I don't know what to say in terms of the manager. But, as a football fan, you kind of have to look at this and think, what is the improvement? What happens next? Because you're going to face Chelsea. Chelsea might smack you up. Chelsea might actually smack you up. They are a good team at the moment, Chelsea. They might actually smack you up. And if Cole Palmer is fit, I don't know, because that midfield of Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, probably the best in the league at the moment. Probably in terms of quality. They're really good. So Manchester United, I think their passing in the final third was not good. I feel so sorry for Benjamin Sesko. It is sad to see a talent like this be absolutely wasted at Manchester United. Look at the passes Erling Haaland got today. Look at the chances Erling Haaland got today. And look at the lack of chances that Benjamin Sesko had. Let's move to Napoli. Rasmus Højlund goes to Napoli. In his first 15 minutes at Napoli, he receives a perfectly placed pass. Perfectly placed through ball, runs onto the ball, simple goal. That is what a striker of a player like Rasmus Højlund, or a striker like Rasmus Højlund, quality. That's what he's expecting in terms of deliverance, in terms of passing deliverance. That is what he's expecting. So to finally get that, I'm sure, and you can see from his celebration, he was so happy to finally get someone who can pass him a ball. Benjamin Sesko is going to struggle. He is going to struggle at Manchester United because those passes, the passes Erling Haaland got today from his Manchester City, co-players, the passes that Haaland got, I don't think Benjamin Sesko is going to get a quarter of that. I think if Benjamin Sesko is going to score a goal, he's going to have to come off a rebound. I'm dead serious. That's what I honestly think. His goals are going to have to come off rebounds. And it's very sad to see. I think he should have stayed at Leipzig. But anyways, let's move on to Patrick Dorgu. Dorgu is a kid. Dorgu is an unproven kid being played in a pressure cooker of a team. I think that is the case with Patrick Dorgu at the moment. He's going to struggle. He is also going to struggle as well. I don't even know the problems at Manchester United, as I said, it's just, I just want to talk about the game in general. Again, I'm not a Manchester United fan, so I don't want to get stressed out talking about it. But yeah, I think it's just stressing me out because the amount of stubbornness, you see as a football fan, you kind of look at it and think, as a manager, what are your opinions of what's going on in the game? Because you should be making these changes. You should be spotting these mistakes, not the fans. But anyways, Bruno Fernandes, as I've already talked about, in the midfield pivot is never going to work. I'm going to die on that hill, and I think I'm going to get proved wrong, right at the end of the season. They should have taken that money from Saudi, to sell Bruno Fernandes. I don't know what the plan was keeping Bruno Fernandes, because that money could have gotten them probably a Baliba, probably a Humeland, and then they're set. But apparently they want to keep Bruno Fernandes and play him out of position. So that's what they're going to do. If you're Lenny Yori, you're looking at it and thinking, why am I going off and Luke Shaw is still on the field? The quality players at Manchester United are actually being I mean, you would probably be regretting if you're Lenny Yoro picking Manchester United over Real Madrid. Real Madrid came for Lenny Yoro, and he picked Manchester United, and he's a good player, Lenny Yoro. But yeah, I feel sorry for him. Ugarte, I mean, out of all the games to play well in, this was probably the game where he should have played well, and he did. He did play well, but I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The issue with good players at Manchester United is it doesn't matter how good you're going to play. The problem is going to arise with the other players around you. Your fellow players are going to ruin your performance. No one is going to talk about how good Ugarte was because the team played badly. The entire team played badly. So no one is even going to highlight Ugarte's good performance. But I think he played well. He made some good interceptions. He made some good passes. And yeah, he played very, very well. But the entire team absolutely ruined that for him. Mbeumo, good player. I don't even know what to say in terms of Mbeumo. He's very unlucky. You know, coming to United, Cunha, I think, his career is gone. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what is going to arrive from Cunha and Mbeumo and players like Sesko. These players of quality. I don't know what their future is going to be. I mean, if they change the manager at this point, go for Nuno. Honestly, go for Nuno. If you're Manchester United board and you're looking for a new manager, go for Nuno. Forget playing good football at the moment. You're not in a position to be playing football. I've seen this from a lot of Manchester United fans. They don't want a manager that's going to park the bus. They don't want a manager that's going to play bad football. You're not in a position to be trying to play good football. You're not in the position to be trying to play, a good brand of football. You need to win games. You need to start getting money into the club to buy better players so that you can play better football. You don't have the players to play better football. I don't think Manchester United fans understand this. You don't have the quality players to play good football. So stop thinking about, we want a manager that can play a good brand of football. Go for Nuno Espirito Santos, get him into the team, let him grind out results, get into the top 4 consistently for like 2-3 years, get that Champions League money, rebuild the team, get the quality players in, and then you can start thinking of, okay, let's try and get a manager that can come in and play a good style of football. Because at the moment, this is what your good style of football is giving you. Ruben Amorim, he plays a good style of football, and this is what you're getting. This is what you're getting with the good style of football. So that's my opinion on, the quality of players at Manchester United. And Mbeumo is a good player. Patrick Dorgu is not that good of a player. Bruno Fernandes, I don't think he's that good of a player, to be very honest with you. I don't think he's that good of a player. There are a lot of Luke Shaw, Maguire. These players are not quality. You need more quality in your team before you can start thinking of playing good football. With the quality of players you have at the moment, Nuno Ball is probably the best for Manchester United at the moment. But then again, I'm not a Manchester United fan, so I can't really tell them what to think. Bad day for Manchester United. Where do they go from here? I don't know. I honestly don't know but a good win for Manchester City. I think this is going to give them a lot of confidence going into their next game, especially coming up against Arsenal. They needed this win and they needed that confidence that Donnarumma has brought to that backline. And I think it makes the Arsenal game a lot more interesting. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As usual, any feedback from you guys would be greatly appreciated.